Hello, everybody. So the reason behind this video is I watched a video, as you could probably tell from the title, from Spawntaneous, a girl gamer called Spawntaneous on YouTube, and she was going about how she has a lot of weird shit, happen to her on Siege. And aside from like the first intro, it basically just turned into a montage of random matches she was in and how people were talking to her and her responses. Right? It wasn't like oh, show a clip and then she talks how it made her feel or whatever or something like that. It was basically just a giant montage. And I watched it, and for some fucking reason I decided to make this video. So this is what I'm doing. It's gonna be a half response to Spontaneous and then half explaining why this game fucking sucks. So, number one, Spontaneous, even though, especially from some of the clips that I've seen about because again, link will be in the description so you guys can see for yourself. There's some clips where I legitimately think like it's like, okay, whoa, dude, you went a little over the top there. Holy crap, you know. But to be fair, that's to be expected because this is a toxic community. No way around it. So, I'm gonna go into tangents because I'm gonna divide this all into points, and you'll notice how I'll get into tangents by obviously. But hey, so Spontaneous. Problem one with your video is the game you're playing. This is my point. Point one: Rainbow Six Siege and why this is a problem. One, the game is trash. I'm gonna explain this because I know there's a lot of Siege advocates out there, and you're all dumb. I'm not saying that you guys aren't good people. I'm not saying that you guys, aren't fun to play with. I'm not saying you guys aren't good heart. I'm not saying anything negative. All I'm saying is that purely on the judgment of you saying the game is good, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about in regards to the Rainbow franchise, and you're not educated. And I'm gonna educate you. I sound pretentious, I know, but you need to hear this. So, reason why the game sucks. One, disrespects the foundation of the previous Rainbow games. Granted, I know there's a mentality of judge the game on its own merits, but it's like, okay, to a point, I agree with that, but there's a line here where, like, okay, if you have put slap, in this case, Rainbow Six on the title, and there's like, what, Rainbow Six 1, 2, 3, Lockdown, Vegas, and Vegas 2, there's like 6 Rainbow games prior to this that obviously through those games are the reason why Rainbow Six Siege exists, at least in the form that it is in, being a rainbow game versus just a game all on its own. So you have to so you need to respect those old games. Because without those old games, we wouldn't have this game. So I think the game, to one degree or another, should respect its foundation. Those games laid the foundation for and the ability to make this game exist, period. I think that is something worth taking note on. And this game disrespects the franchise because if you played Vegas 2 even or the other ones, you'll see how this game is essentially its own game just with the Rainbow Six skin over. And by skin, I don't even mean skin. It just has the fucking Rainbow name slapped on the title. It's not even a fucking real Rainbow game. So that's the first problem, is it's like, again, play any other Rainbow and play this, you'll see a difference. Or hell, just watch my other streams of Rainbow Six, Vegas 2, Fusion Frenzy, and see the difference. See the difference. So, yeah. Secondly, lack of content. Compare Vegas 2 to this game. Vegas 2, you had team deathmatch, you had free for all, whatever, right? This game, you only have. We're not going to include situations because that's a fucking tutorial where after you get 3 stars, you're never going to play it again. Terrorist Hunt is basically just, you know what, hey, you can either play it by yourself or with friends, and you have either Terrorist Hunt Classic where the map is filled with enemies, and if you kill them all, you win. Or you have Bomb, which is the same thing as basically the bomb game mode and casual and ranked and all that, except instead of having to defuse one bomb, you need to defuse both. And when you go to defuse them, you have waves of enemies instead of just, if they all rush you and you happen to kill them all, you win. So that's a slightly more complicated version of Bomb, but at the core, it's the same. Same thing with Hostage. Once you get the Hostage, they bum rush you. They spawn outside and all that shit. But it's the same basic thing, Clear the objective room, clear the map, get the hostage, and get the fuck out. And then, of course, in casual, there's secure area, which is like you just have an area to secure. You need to be in there for like a minute or whatever the fuck. But terrorist hunt is basically just the top modes up here, just slightly reworked to compensate for the fact you're playing against AI, which tend to be obviously shittier than real people. That's a given. But they're essentially the same thing as all the other game modes that you play in casual and ranked, essentially. But now let's get into the meat of the game, the actual shit that fucking matters. Casual and ranked, and newcomer. Okay. Casual and newcomer are literally the same shit. The only difference is obviously one is level capped. You can't play it if you're above level 50. Like, you have to be below level 50. If you're 50 or higher, you can't play it. And then you have to go to casual. But they're the literally exact same shit. So I'm going to roll newcomer into casual and say they're the same thing. For reasons I've stated, that they're literally the same fucking thing. So casual versus ranked. Here's the difference. One, gameplay wise, it's essentially the same, except for ranked you have 1 to 4 additional rounds. In casual, if you go into overtime, it's first to 3, so you can go 2 to 2 overtime, and then if whoever wins gets 0.3, and then it's best of 5. In ranked, if you go into overtime, it's 4 to 4 at most, and then it's to 5. So whoever's first to 5 wins, unless you get creamed and it's 4 to 0. But if you win, but if the other team wins even one match, like you could be 3-0, and if you win that one and get 0.4, you win in ranked and it's over. But if you lose and they get a point, now you have to go to 5. So bare minimum, you have one additional round compared to casual minimum. But at most, it's 4. Because if you do 4-4 and whoever gets 0.5, that's 9 rounds total, versus casual, you get 5 rounds max. So 1 to 4 additional rounds in ranked, but all the modes are the same, bomb, whatever. So you essentially, if you really wanted to, aside from that, in all things considered, very minor difference, like, oh, you just increased the rounds, big whoop, it's still the same thing. Gameplay-wise, it's still the same mode, blah, 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 right? The only difference is really the community and how long it lasts. Like, basically what you did with ranked is that's akin to just going to custom game and adding more rounds. It's still the same shit. So, no. I'm going to roll that into casual as well. Because it's, other than the difference in rounds, it's the same shit. And then, custom game, that's the only mode I can say is a different mode, because even though, again, it's the same thing with bomb and secure, at least in that one, you can actually, adjust if you can ban ops, you can adjust the time, you can adjust, how much damage you can take, like your health. I mean, the things to change it up. And then, of course, unlike casual and ranked, it's really rare for you to be able to be like, oh, I'm going to text the people on the other team and see if they want to do knives only or something. Like, it's easier on PC because obviously text chat, but we're on Xbox, so. But yeah. But in custom game, if you're with friends, you can do that. So that's the only one I can even remotely consider a different mode. But at the end of the day, at least with my personal experience and my friends, we change maybe 1 or 2 things. We largely leave it the same. We just go to custom because we don't want to deal with other people, and we just want to, like, 2v2 or something. So you can make a pretty strong argument that you can roll that into casual as well, because, again, at the core, it's the same. Unless you willingly choose to adjust the settings, which, as far as I'm aware, a lot of people probably don't. Maybe I could be wrong. Show me an instance where I'm wrong, and I will happily admit that, okay, at least in that instance I'm wrong. But I can't speak for everybody. But for me personally, with how me and my friends play, we play it largely the same. With, like, the only difference being we add more time and shorten the, prep phase, and add it to where we can ban ops. But other than that, it's pretty much the same. So there you go. So for the purposes of how I explained with how me and my friends play it, we're going to roll that into casual as well. So you only get one mode, not including terrorist hunt situations, which, like I said, terrorist hunt, you can make a fairly decent argument to roll that into casual, because it's the same thing. It's basically casual, just instead of players, it's AI. and it's slightly reworked to compensate for the obvious easier difficulty. Well, I mean, I guess even if you put it on the hardest difficulty, but then again, that's nothing compared to pro Rainbow Six Siege Invitational players that can just dome you immediately. So AIs at least will miss a time or two before they get you. Well, pro players can do that too. But anyway, I digress. But but I'll be generous and say, okay, 2 modes, because again, situations will never be touched except for like maybe if you decide to want to warm up, which in that case you got terrorist hunt for that. That was a lot more fun in my opinion. And again, that's how my friends go. So I'm gonna say there's 2 modes: terrorist hunt and casual. Because again, I'm rolling custom game and all that into casual. So you get 2 modes in a game for $60. Assuming you pre-ordered it, that's what I'm gonna go based off of. Versus Vegas, you got a campaign, which was pretty good for its time, pretty decent graphics. Nothing compared to Siege, but again, difference in times and difference in the fact that the Xbox 360 was not as powerful as a console. You know, and again, but all things considered, pretty good graphically, and it had more multiplayer modes, and it had a lot more customization. Well, I guess that one's debatable, because I mean, it had a different type of customization. You create your own character and customize your personal character. Versus Siege, we have this. And granted, there's a pretty decent amount of customization within each character, but it's not your character. Because at least with Vegas 2, you could upload your own face and make your own character, like legit. So there's props for that. So there is an objective lack of content, because you can't just say, oh, I added a new freaking character and that's more content. It's like, yeah, but that's nothing compared to a new mode, a campaign, or whatever. There is still, no matter how many characters you put in here, until you get to like maybe 1,000 or something. I'm being slightly hyperbolic, but you know, or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean. There's no real way for you to say this game has more content than Vegas. That is objectively false. That is objectively false, because even with all the shit in the shop, that's still less than Vegas. Maybe not customization wise, but again, there's more effort and more content in the campaign than all of this. So I'm sorry, just, you can disagree if you want, but if we're going to be objective here, I don't think. Sorry about that. My mom came in and asked me a real quick question, but anyway, as I was saying, there's objectively less content in Siege. That is objective.
Have you not watched your?
Sorry about that. My mom forgot something. But anyway, so but yeah, there's objectively less content. That like, again, if anyone who has played Vegas 2 can attest to this. If you're a Rainbow Siege fan who's gonna be like, this has still got a good amount of content, but you've never played Vegas, you don't understand where I'm coming from, because you can't like actually see the direct comparison the same way I can as someone who has played and owns both. So there's a disconnect there that you will not be able to truly understand unless you have actually went back and played Vegas 2 or something. So this is an argument you cannot win unless you are going to actually go back to Vegas 2 and experience it. So if you can't, You have to just, with all due respect, people shut up. Don't even try to fight that argument. Secondly, the fact that the game, despite its lack of content, has extreme greedy business practices with its monetization. Like, let's put it this way. We're now going on year 4. They have passes every year. So now, which costs $30. So year 1 pass, but now we have that 4 times. So 30, 40, no, 30, 60, 90, and then 120. Plus the $60 pre-order if you're one of those people that decided to buy the passes on top of the game at pre-order, like you've been a real faithful. So that's $180 you have invested into this game for literally just. And mind you, I'm not taking into account cosmetics if you just decided to buy like the little R6 credits. Just these alone, because all those year passes do is give you characters and like a 10% renown boost per match. But the only thing that it really does is give you characters. And so let's put it this way. So you've spent $120. Mind you, year 4 just started. It's not over yet. This Gridlock and right here Mosey are the characters that have been released for year 4 so far. And they release 8 a year. This right here for attack is year 1. Boom, 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 boom. And then for year 1 on the defense, boom, 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 boom. Right? And then, of course, year 2 is the next 4 for each side. And year 3 is, of course, yeah. So, you release 8 a year. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then year 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Year 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 per side. That's on average. I mean, yeah, granted, every now and then you'll get but yeah. So right now, since these two are the only ones coming out that are out right now, Mosey in Gridlock for year 4, that means 6 more are coming. So let's take okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. God damn it, dude. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26 right now. And now let's add 6 to that because there's 6 more for this year. So 26. So that should be 32 if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 32 characters that you paid for. 32 characters for $120. Literally, that is all you get. You're shitting me, right? Even in For Honor, for I think it was $30 or $40 for the season pass, I got more. Well, actually, no, never mind. That's a bad example. But season passes, mind you, they only do 1 in a lot of other games, especially back in the 360 era. You would get just as much, if not more, for not even half the price. Less than that, like $30 or $40 max instead of $120. So I've gotten 32 characters for $120. Then on top of that, the base game. So that's $180 for basically 2 modes in all of this. Do none of you in the Siege community see this as a problem? Like literally, you guys are just gonna fork out cash just for new characters because you're that lazy and don't want to grind. Granted, I'm in that same boat, so you know what? A lot of you are gonna call me hypocrite because I have bought in every single pass so far. But the thing is I'm gonna explain why I do it. I hate myself for it, but let's put it to you this way, because I did the math. Mind you, I did this around the start and or end of year 2. I did this around the time when it was Dokkaebi and Vigil. They were the last ones. So that was the end of year 2. Yeah, that was the end of year 2. So we're not going to factor in Maestro, Alibi, Cade and Clash, Nomad and Maverick, and Lion and Finka. We're not going to include them. It stops at Doka on the attacker side, and on stops at Doka and Buck. So anything in the defense around there, and then stops between and the attackers between Frost and Vigil. Stop for defenders. That year 1 to year 2. And this is the math that I came up with. I made, at the time when I did this statistic, and I've kept it in my head, I made grinding for a week non-stop. Aside from obviously sleeping, because I need sleep, and obviously eating dinner, essentially, and a little bit of YouTube when I first woke up, because I don't play games right when I first wake up. I usually take an hour to play YouTube and eat, but borderline all day. Like, all goddamn day. I earned... It took me all day, every day, for like a week, essentially. I got about 11,000 renown. So, if we're going to use that as a... Keep in mind, I'm going to make this contention right now. This was based off my... Obviously, I make renown, because obviously your renown is based off your skill. Like, obviously, the better you do in a match, more kills, more headshots, whatever, more renown you get per match. So it's completely skill-based. People that are better than me will earn more renown faster, and vice versa for people that are crappier than me. They'll earn less renown in that same amount of time. So there is a little bit of leeway here that you guys need to consider this. So take what I'm saying with a slight grain of salt and a little bit of leeway here. But based off my personal skill level and my performance during that time, I earned about 10 to 11,000 renown a week. Mind you, if I decided to not buy the passes and buy all them legit with renown, like Buck, Blackbeard, and all of them, aside from the ops, like I said, Mosey and all them. Like, just Buck to Doka and then Frost to Vigil. If I wanted to buy all of them, just for one of them is 25,000 renown. So that would be... Again, about 10, 11,000 a week. So 2 weeks would be 20. So about 2.5 weeks. Damn near 3 weeks to earn one character. So basically one character a month for me. Now let's use that statistic. Like, did damn near one a month. And then, of course, because, again, about 2.5 weeks, then 1 month I'd get 2, then back to... So let's just say, for the sake of the argument, I get 2 a week. Like, I managed to get 25,000 renown within 2 weeks. So I'd earn 2 a month. All right. So let's put it this way. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. God damn it! I hate the fact that it does that. I'm only moving the analog stick once. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's 8, and then 8 on the other side. So that's 16 ops. Okay, 16 times 25,000. Let's do the math on my calculator real quick. And so 16 times 25,000. That is 400,000 renown. Just for those. We're not going to include Lion in all of them. So 400,000 renown. And now that we have Lion in all of them, let's add that up, okay? So let's do 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26 at the moment. So right now, 26 times 25,000... That's 650,000 renown right now. Now let's jump up to 32 because we're going to have 32 by the end of the year. So 32 times 25,000. Those of you that don't believe me can use your own calculator and verify. That would be 800,000 renown. Just for the DLC ops. We're not going to include like IQ and all of them because these are considered legacy ops. They're free. They're unlocked at the start of the game. So Bandit, Jaeger, and all of them up here are already unlocked. And on the attacker side, IQ, Bandit, and all these guys up here are already unlocked. So just from Buck down on the attack and from Frost down, and Valkyrie and Blackbeard, obviously, that is how much renown. And if they should make more characters in year 5 because I'm positive they're gonna have a year 5 pass out. So that's gonna get bigger. So that would take me So 32. So let's do what was it at the time? 16, right? Because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 16 from the Doka thing before I added Lion and all them. So let's just do 16 divided by 2 because I'm doing 2 a month. That would be 8 months. 1 month shy of 9. So essentially 3/4 of a year. So now let's add it back up to, where it is right now. We're at 26, right? Because, yeah, add 6 and that'd be 30. 26 divided by 2. That's 13. A year and a month. Now let's do 32 divided by 2. That's 16. A year and 3 months. If I, with my skill level, that has been very consistent, and if I grinded from non-stop, like if I was at 0 renown and just went at it, that is how long it would take me. 16 months to get all the ops from Buck and down as soon as year 4 is complete. Does no one think that is a huge issue? That, again, people that are so you're telling me that in a game that I spent $60 and then bought all the passes and spent so you're telling me that a game I spent $60 on, assuming I didn't buy the passes, just buying the base game, and not buying any of the R6 credits to circumvent the grind, because it's basically pay to not grind is what it is. So I pay $60 for a game that has essentially 2 modes and endless grinding, because I didn't factor in the cosmetics. I know there's some of you that are gonna be like, the cosmetics don't matter because you don't need them. They're not necessary. But it's like think about basic psychology. Unless you're some because I know not everyone will consider this, but I personally do. And if you don't, that's okay. But to me, it's like, for example, in GTA, you spend about 2 to 3 weeks grinding for that T20, right? Or X80 Proto or whatever, for all you GTA fans out there. You mean to tell me you're not gonna, because all the shit you went through, all the grinding for that, you mean to tell me you don't want to spend even more time to pimp it out? That's how it was with my T20. My friend helped me for about 2 to 3 weeks to get my T20 because I don't do the shark cards or whatever. I did it legit, and then I wanted to grind more to customize it, have it nice colors, upgrade the engine, make it nice and personalize it. Because that's me personally, so that's why I'm taking into account all this. If you guys don't want to, because you're those type of people that's content, you don't care about customization, you just want the character and jump in, then ignore this part forward, because now I'm going to get into the customization. So if you don't include this, then hey, the final answer at the end of year 4 is 80,000 renown, and with my skill, about 16 months to do at the end of year 4. Or if you're better than me, less. If you're shittier than me, longer. So I'm going to use me as the average here, because I'm not good, I'm not bad. I would say I'm decent. But then again, maybe I am shit. I don't know. Again, that's why I'm saying this quote-unquote statistic is slightly up to interpretation here. But it's like, I spent $60 for a game that's essentially a non-stop grind fest. At least with Destiny, I had a goddamn campaign, even though it was basically, it's a different type of game. It's a looter shooter, but still. So it's like, really, dude? Really? None of you, no one in the Siege community, do you guys honestly think that's okay? You think that's acceptable? How we came from games like from the original Xbox and stuff to like $60 or whatever, and we'd have great stories and great multiplayer, and we wouldn't have to grind for a fucking year to get ops, let alone to we could actually unlock everything within, I would say, 6 months at most, depending on if you were really, really fucking bad at the game. You know. And then now we've come to like, I gotta grind a year for the shit that I should be able to unlock real fast, because that's the necessity, it's the meat of the game. That's not fair to me. And that is why and I honestly am not gonna spend months to unlock all these ops. I don't have the time, especially with work and everything, and that's why they put it in place, because they know people will buy into it. And I know people are going to say, well, you're a hypocrite. Why are you saying don't buy into this even though you're buying into it? But you know, that argument's bullshit, because it's like if a smoker walks up to you, like a hardcore smoker that smokes like a pack or more a day, and tells you don't do what I'm doing because of, you know, all the health, you know, risks and all this stuff, and you just look at them and be like, what do you know? You're being a fucking hypocrite. Shut the fuck up. And then you walk away. And then you know, it's like, there are things in life, and that being a pretty good example, in my opinion, where it's like, no matter how hypocritical they are for doing the opposite of what they're saying, that doesn't mean that the statement itself, when you actually look at what the statement is saying, in the case of like the health risks of smoking, is any less true and valid. That is what I'm saying, is even though I'm being a hypocrite by doing what I'm saying not to, my points, especially with the math I've just brought up, is still true. And you can't just use my credibility as being a hypocrite in saying that, oh, my statement's false, even though I proved it, despite my credibility being, I guess you could say, lacking, because I'm doing what I'm saying not to do. That is my point, is don't use the fact that I have all the ops unlocked via the passes, as you could see with the little gold 6 by my picture there. You know, so no, don't be that guy. So yeah, and then if you go to the shop, look at all the customization, and look at how much renown this shit could cost. Like 36,000 renown, more than a character okay, what is it, a skin? Unlocks the Venetian weapon skins for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weapons. It unlocks a skin for 5 weapons, and that's more than a fucking op. You know, the shit that you actually use to play. I mean, I know you use the weapons, but you know what I mean. You know what? And think about, if you are like me and you want to pimp out all your characters, think about how much more renown on top of that 800,000 if we're going to go based off the end of year 4, which is obviously what we're going to have to deal with. You know, with the bundles, and like, I mean, Jesus Christ, look at all these 36, 36, 36, 45. That one you're forced to buy R6 credits with. So, you know what? That one's real money. You know, 45,000, 45,000, 45. You see, I mean, you just look at all that shit. Especially, you know that adds up. Even if you restrict yourself to only buying certain bundles, that's still that much amount of renown. Especially if you decide to buy at least one bundle per op, that's still 32 fucking ops and at least one bundle each. That's gonna easily add probably a good 200,000 renown, damn near. I would say at least 100, if not 150. I would, because again, 42,000 renown, you're like 8,000 shy of fucking 50,000. Another 50,000, you're at 100. That's 900,000 renown right there. So you're probably closer to 1,000,000 fucking renown. So that's gonna take you probably at least a year and a half. Well, probably more than that. Actually, is probably gonna take you at bare minimum a year and a half with my skill level to do all that. That is way too much grinding. Like, if you guys cannot see the problem here and why, and understand now why I think Rainbow Six Siege is fucking trash, then there you go. Now that I think I've made a good enough case for why I think it's trash, between lack of content and the fact that even with the lack of content, they insultingly disrespect the previous games and add this monetization bullshit to pay to not grind. It's great. Great job, Ubisoft. Great job. You wonder why I'm losing respect for you. You fucked up Splinter Cell with Blacklist. You fucked up Rainbow. You fuck. I'm still hesitant to say you fucked up Assassin's Creed. I'm still debating on that one, honestly. But you've definitely fucked up the other 2 franchises that I love from you guys. Like, I've been a fanboy for a long, long time. Great job. Secondly, shitty games tend to invite a shitty player base. Now that I've obviously gotten off of my rant of why Siege sucks, I'm gonna get to you now. You know, Spawn. You know, so being a shitty game, as I've established, you tend to have very toxic players. So which is the case for Siege. I have experienced it. My friends have experienced it. You've obviously experienced it, and you know there are gamers out there that, I'm sorry, Spawntaneous, have very shitty fucking people. But there's also, on the other end of the spectrum, some very good people that play games, very good-hearted people that want to help the world and, you know, listen to people's problems. I mean, again, Video games, because of the internet and all that stuff. I mean, yeah, it's a cesspool. If yeah, that might be a wrong word, but you know what I mean. There's just so many different types of people out there. Where you get good people, you get bad people, but some games tend to have better players than others. Siege is not one of them. You tend to have shitty players because there's a lot of the Call of Duty people coming here, and the Call of Duty people tend to be fucking assholes. My personal opinion, and based off personal experience from playing a lot of the older Call of Duties, and then I just lost interest between the fact that I hated where the franchise was going and the fact that all the people there that I met, with very few exceptions, were always assholes. So, yeah, they cashed. This game is essentially cashing in on Call of Duty money, like just a cheap cash grab with simple shit. Just all the like. I'm sorry, just no. No. And then on top of that, actually, there's one last thing I need to bring into my rant before I truly move on from saying it's shit, is the fact that they constantly change shit, like every fucking operation and patch. They constantly rework the characters, and there's little to no consistency. And the lack of consistency makes the game feel like it's broken at times. And so it's like, and I have a lot of my friends that agree with me, even some that are advocates of this game will say that there are times when it just seems flat out fucking broken, especially within certain seasons. You know, with all the reworks they do. So yes, it doesn't even have consistency, which is the one thing it should have with a lack of content game. So no. Anyway, back to my other point. The people here are shitty. There's a lot of toxic people. That's just how it is. There's no way around that. So I'm sorry, space. I mean, space. Spawn. So, yeah, you're gonna have to get over it. I mean, you seem like a cool person. I'm not trying to disrespect you or anything, but at the end of the day, you're playing a shitty game that I've proved beyond a shadow of a doubt with all the math that it's a shitty game. It's based off the grind and addictive gameplay, little to no content to speak of. And if you're into that, cool. I personally am not a big fan. That's why I only play it on a handful of occasions. Usually when my friends ask me to. That's about it. I don't religiously play this fucking game. Which is why I have to basically spend money to enjoy it, because otherwise I'm never gonna have any of these fucking ops, really. So, I'm sorry. Even though, yes, I do agree to a point that, yes, I paid money for this game, not including the passes and stuff, just the base game, but of course most of the community has paid for the passes, so we got to include all that. I paid just as much money for this game, just as you did. I'm not assuming you haven't bought any microtransactions, but then there's also other people that did buy microtransactions, but you know what, that's on them. We all paid money, and we all should have the right to enjoy the game, because you should have the right to enjoy what you spend. I'm not saying that we should limit what other people can do, but I think there should be definitely like a boundary of respect, where it's like, once you cross this point, that's a little ridiculous, and because you shouldn't ruin other people's enjoyment of the games just so you can. You need to find another way to enjoy it, in my opinion. You got to respect your player base and your community. I'm not saying you can't troll every now and then or whatever, yeah, I mean, I get it, trolling and cracking jokes, I mean, yeah, within reason, yeah, but once it gets to because again, you also have to take into account, there are people out there that play video games as a means of distraction from depression and life and all kinds of shit. And you can make the argument that people that are depressed shouldn't be playing games because of the environment, but it's like, you are the people that make the environment. All the other people playing Siege, playing Call of Duty, whatever, you can choose how you respond to shit. You can choose the type of person to be. You don't need to go out and be insulting to someone when you don't even know if they're depressed or not, or contemplating suicide, because I was there once. So I'm speaking from both sides here, because I've been on both sides. That yes, to a point, people need to grow a spine and take shit, because people being over the internet are going to feel, because again, anonymity or whatever, like you feel invincible, you don't need to give out your name or whatever unless you're a hacker or something. You pretty much can do anything without being touched. But at the same time, it's like, respect your people, man. It's like, I'm not going to be the one sitting here saying, we need to have this barrier, this barrier, this barrier. You need to respect. That's something where, is considering how vast and the gaming community is, and with how many different walks of life people are in. That's a discussion if we're actually going to truly place barriers on people and what they can and cannot do in every game. That's something that we as gamers need to get and have like an international gaming congress or something and discuss. I'm not going to sit here and say like, oh, you can't, be an asshole if this guy has a monotone voice, like he could be sad. Like, hey, maybe he just has a monotone voice. So again, this is something we need to discuss as a community if we decide to go that route, but I know the gaming community is not going to even care about it. So it's never, but I'm just saying, you as individuals, you have the power to be better, and I'm not gonna, and I would advocate for that, but I honestly have a hard time believing people will even consider that. So at the end of the day, even because this has turned into like a 40-minute fucking rant, the game sucks. No real way around that, and the people suck. So here are my solutions for you, Spawn, if you want to avoid this problem, like of all the people being all weird on you. One, you're a YouTuber that, and I know you have friends. Obviously, you're a gamer girl. You have to have other gamer friends, whether it be guys or chicks. I would be amazed if you did not have at least one other person to join your party with. You know, I'll be to be honest. I'm pretty sure you have it 5 at least. So you know what? Just get like at least one, if not more, of your friends up to 4, because you can only have 5 in a group max, including yourself. So like get 1 to 4 of your friends and join a fucking Discord party. Since I know you play it on PC, I'm pretty sure. So it's like, there you go, problem solved. You don't have to listen to all the other fucktards. Like I mean, there you go. It's like with people saying like, yeah, I can't enjoy the game because the community sucks. It's like, dude, just get a couple friends and join a party. It's that fucking simple. Not a big deal. You have ways to avoid it without making a big goddamn deal and making a mountain out of a molehill. So, with all due respect, I'm not trying to be a dick, but do that. You don't need to make a fucking montage of all the weird shit unless you're being one of those people that decided to do it for views and because you actually thought it was funny. But otherwise, if it's legitimate shit that you were taking offense to, just mute them. There's a mute button, for fuck's sake. Or if they start spamming you with messages or whatever, block them. And join a party with the group of your friends. I know you have some. If you don't, oh my god, I'm really fucking surprised. There's ways around this, so chill the fuck out. The video, even though I understand where you're coming from, is a little unnecessary. Like Jesus, Spawn. Anyway, that's enough said. I'm sorry about this rant, guys, but it's just like, I mean, well, on one hand, I understand where she's coming from because it's like, what the hell? Because there are some parts where it's like, Jesus Christ, guys, you need to chill the fuck out, because it just gets really disrespectful at times. And I'll leave a link in the video so you can see, what I mean. And even though I know it's a joke, but it's like there's a line where if someone feels uncomfortable and they make it a point to tell you and you decide to go to extremes, like saying something about rape, which I forget the exact context, but there was a point in the video where some dude said that to her. I forget what the context was, but again, context is key. Then she obviously was like getting a little frustrated and asking them, trying to stop, and then they jumped that to that extreme. So it's like, yeah, it's a little uncalled for, and you should probably get banned, maybe. But I'm not the one to decide that. So anyway, I've been rambling long enough. I'm sorry, but this is the end of that. And yeah, we will see you next time on this vid. Take care, guys, and Siege sucks, and Spawn. Maybe get a little friends together next time, just saying.